I'm Detective Yorkie of the Gander Detective Agency. Things had been quiet at the agency for a while now, and I knew I needed to stretch myself into something new. So I decided to set up a coffee making business and coffee retail business, Coffee Noir. Let's go and see what happened when we took detective work and coffee creation to the same level. It's a fairly new game, out on Steam on the Windows sale at the moment. We'll go for medium. Start the game with 50,000 GBP, and the maximum debt is limited to 65%. At the beginning of the 20th century, for unexplained reasons, world coffee consumption increased 20 times. This phenomenon, called coffee mania, reached its peak in the 1940s and caused its huge...
The world of 2021 is ruled by coffee, and Neo-London goes crazy for it. They say that in this job only two cases matter, the one that breaks you and the one that makes you. I'm Arthur Oliver, and I'm a private investigator. But I used to be a cop here in Neo-London. I quit 10 years ago. I failed. I hope I'd never come back here. I read about Richard Kersey's disappearance in the papers on a train journey. Coffee tycoon vanishes. The front page headline of the Neo-London Espresso screamed. For many, Kersey was a wealthy celebrity buffoon, pure envy. They lost contracts and profits to him. They even lost their reputations as he dragged competitors through the courts.
It definitely sounded like a job for the agency, but also for a coffee magnate like myself.
And me? I lost a lot more to him. Catherine, my beloved, and his wife. 10 years ago, Richard was involved in a spot of bother. He had a debt. Unfortunately for him, it was Kath who received the demands for payment. Kersey happened to be abroad at the time, totally out of reach. She got scared and tried sorting it out herself, in cash. She asked me for help. I couldn't do it in my official capacity, but I took my gun and set up a sting. It ended tragically.
Life often throws sad curveballs at you, and sometimes you can't even field them well.
A few days ago, Henry called, Richard's older brother. He sounded down, just like me.
Okay, I know all about it, Arthur. You quit the force, you're still tormented by Kath's murder. Listen, Richard's daughter doesn't have to know anything about you two, nor Richard. But I'm begging you, help me find him. I'll give you a flat to live in, some cash, and a cover story that you're a salesman. Just come, please.
So I'm in Neo-London again. The business with Catherine broke me. So maybe the case with Richard will be the one to make me a real cop again. Richard's disappearance was big news. There was speculation about mafia involvement, either Italian or Yakuza. I think there might be something in that. Little Clarabelle, Richard and Kath's daughter. The last time I saw her was at her mother's funeral. I wanted to comfort her. Now it looks like it's her who wants to comfort me.
It's always surprising who has the strength, never who one suspects.
She's so like her mother, especially her eyes. Can't forget watching the life draining out of Catherine's eyes. On the way to the hotel, Clarabelle told me her father might have been kidnapped by an angry competitor. It's a possibility. Kersey did all sorts of weird deals with even weirder people. Maybe one of them had enough of Richard's caprices. Over the phone, Clarabelle confirmed what Henry had promised. There was a flat and a position as a salesperson in their family business. That was to make investigating easier. Fair enough. Let it be. If that's what the investigation demands, I'll become the best damn salesperson in Neo-London.
That was prove a little harder than I thought, but I had to try.
I'll help Clarabelle with her business. I'll find Richard. I'll find your killer, Kath. I won't let you down twice. Promise.
For Kath, for Richard, for Clarabelle, and perhaps for my own salvation. To meet with the client, additional conditions must be met as listed above. Since all conditions are met, the interview with Clarabelle was arranged and serves as an introduction. You can go to the meeting now, and so it was that I was to meet young Clarabelle once again. Clarabelle Kersey, Coffee, Bloomsbury. She's a student and works in the family cafe Coffee. She wanted to earn some money on her own and help conduct a business. Clarabelle is a modest, sensitive and warm-hearted dreamer. Sometimes she has her head in the clouds, which was the reason she was laughed at by her peers. Her excessive trust and gullibility are some of her biggest flaws. Her inexhaustible faith in people is a little puzzling, since she went through the tragic death of her mother, Catherine Kersey. After her father, Richard Kersey, went missing, she's trying to do everything to find him. No status. Much of the in-game conversations are business meetings, where you offer your company's product and negotiate the price. An interview with Clarabelle Kersey will help you better understand your tasks and summarize the collected information. Choose from available phrases. Introduce yourself and compliment her on the cafe's decor. Ask for a coffee and a piece of cake. Let's just introduce ourselves.
Hello, Miss Clarabelle. The cafe looks great. Really bright, cozy, homely.
Hello. Thanks. The decor was my father's work. He was very careful to create a friendly atmosphere. Please don't call me miss.
Sorry, it's your hairstyle. You look so young, I couldn't help myself. But fine. First names only.
Great. Let's get down to business.
Ask about Clarabelle's childhood following her mother's death.
I want to ask about your childhood. I know there are painful memories, but it's important for the case.
All right.
Tell me, how you coped after your mother's death.
Well, not too well.
Any friends? School psychologist?
I had this one friend, Amy. She came to cheer me up a couple of times, but I think I wore her out. I was incredibly shy as a child. The school psychologist sent me to a psychiatrist for medication. I was supposed to go there with an adult, but it never happened.
Why? Something changed. Something got better?
Yeah, you could say it was thanks to Mr. Van Haven.
Hold on. I'll write this down. Who was it?
Joseph Van Haven, Dad's friend from college. He and his wife Amanda offered to take care of me, together with his housekeeper. I was to sleep at my home, spend the day with them, mainly with Mrs. Fink, the housekeeper. Dad immediately agreed.
And you? Did you have any say in it?
I was a bit scared at first, but they were really nice. They were like my family. They still are.
Thanks, Clarabelle. That's a lot of help. Can you give me a contact number for Van Haven and Fink? I'd like to ask them a few questions.
Sure, here you go.
Great. Who do you think I should meet first?
Mr. Van Haven. Visit him posing as a sales rep. Sell him some coffee. He's a really nice guy and a good candidate for checking your abilities.
Investigative abilities?
Business and negotiating. Remember that you operate undercover and you must be credible. Only then will investigative skills come in handy.
I'm glad she had the support when you're dealing with a mental health challenge like anxiety, depression, or other mental health challenges. Social support is extremely important. Get into details, ask about father's disappearance. Remind her about the plan and what we agreed last time. Ask where you can get knowledge necessary for negotiation. Ask about running a firm. Well, let's ask about father's disappearance.
What should I know about Richard's disappearance?
Neither I nor Uncle Henry have a clue what happened to my dad. Have you looked at the materials from the last meeting? Everything I know is in there.
You remember what we agreed yesterday. What do I need to know?
I reckon there's a business connection involved in my dad's disappearance. To find out who, you're going to have to get the London business community to trust you.
Pretending to be a sales rep, right?
Well, you're really going to become one. You're going to set up meetings, set up deals, and sign contracts. You'll be managing a team, planning budgets. It's the only way to be credible and get closer to the suspects. So, we need to practice sales meetings.
Can't I interrogate them the usual way? You know, put a gun to the temples like in the old days? I don't need to practice that, you know.
Things have changed.
Focus, Arthur.
Okay, I was only joking. So I'm a sales rep, right?
Sales manager. And no, that doesn't mean you can use a gun.
Knowledge.
I'm not sure I'm a negotiator. How can I learn? Can it be learned?
Of course. Start with the handbook I gave you. The techniques in there are enough to get you your first clients. They won't be too demanding. After that, well, you know, practice makes perfect.
Did you have to say that?
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
And running a firm?
Explain the basics about running a business to me. Better still, as a manager, shouldn't I have a competent deputy? Then I can concentrate on, you know, being a boss, and the deputy makes sure we don't go under.
Last time you said you always worked solo.
Me? Are you thinking of someone else? There are lots of detectives called Oliver.
Take it easy, Arthur. No deputies. We don't have the cash for it. Start by visiting all the departments. You'll learn how to establish the scale of production, audit advertising activity, and plan expenditure, as well as team building and managing people.
Huh. So, I might find a deputy?
Of course, I'm sure you'll pick it all up faster than you imagine. A lot of our processes are automated, so you're not likely to cause any catastrophes.
You're sure good at encouragement. Okay, I'll give it a go.
It was a difficult challenge for an old gumshoe like myself. But difficult challenges are what detective work is all about.
How do I set up a meeting with a client?
You can't just charge straight at it. First, you have to have a credible business proposition. To prepare that, you need to know what the client needs.
They always want the same. Something cheap and high quality.
More or less, but it's a little more subtle than that. Give this list of Dad's contacts to the people in the management department. They'll set up the first meetings for you and get the clients interested, so you can practice your sales pitch.
So, then I go and see them and close the deal. Is that all?
That's about the half of it. Before meeting them, you have to find out who you're dealing with, so you know how to approach them. Preparation is vital to good negotiating. By assigning specific tasks to employees, you can get interesting information about clients that will be helpful during the meeting.
I see.
Sure, a gun license for start.
Coffee production?
So, where do we get the coffee?
The production department sees to that. Using the console in your office, you decide how much of a given brand to produce in a given week. You'll be starting with a single type, classic standard.
Okay, then what?
Later you can start working on other brands because different clients have different needs. It's also worth making production more efficient. It's costly and can hold up production, but it pays off in the long term. You have to keep an eye on production costs and warehouse levels.
Warehouse. Okay, I think I've got all that.
Taking notes in my notepad, I could only hope I could remember this.
How do I run my team?
It's like this. In the management board, you assign tasks to groups and how many hours per week they have to complete them. Neglecting tasks, i.e. managing production or account management, can lead to production failure or suspension of deliveries. Make sure employees are busy.
Okay, what else?
Lead acquisition and due diligence will allow you to arrange meetings and get valuable information about your clients that will be useful during a business meeting.
Okay, let's say I manage to sell something. What then?
You can also assign project management tasks. Each production upgrade or marketing campaign is treated as a project that needs to be taken care of. Staff training helps develop their competences.
That's just what I wanted to ask about. Where do I get new employees from?
The relevant forms are in the HR department. We always have a few candidates for employment waiting in the wings.
And the finance department? There was so much to learn. So much.
I guess I should also be overseeing the costs and expenses. Where do I find out about that?
Finance. A detailed list of income and expenditure is in the profit and loss account.
What if there's nothing in my account and I need a loan?
You can borrow money, but only up to the company's debt limit.
Clarabelle, did you ever hear of a detective in debt?
Frequently.
Nope, but I've read of a few.
Marketing?
What if I need to advertise a product? I might get to more people that way.
Advertising campaigns are available from the marketing department. Remember to choose the right campaign type for the specific brand of coffee. A well-chosen campaign will increase brand awareness and demand for your products.
After my first meeting, I might need a campaign like that. Just a little one.
Have more faith, Arthur. We'll do some more negotiating training first.
And information about the staff?
Seeing as I'm managing people, I'll have to assess their work and look after them. How do I learn how to do that?
Everything about HR matters can be found in metal cabinets. First of all, make sure to motivate your staff. It improves their work levels. Dissatisfied workers work badly and often leave.
Let's move on. Can I train a team like you're training me now?
Sure, in this same section, you can access lessons on improving your employees' competence.
And managing sales.
I don't really know the London coffee market.
In the sales section, look into the computer. You'll find contacts to clients, what brand of coffee they buy, and whether there is an appointment arranged.
Let's say I'm feeling well prepared. What then?
Then it's time for a business meeting. Just dress up right and get to the right place on time.
One more thing. Let's say I sign a contract on poor terms. Then I become a better negotiator, and I don't like the contract anymore. Can I break it?
During the meeting, you can always opt out of signing the contract, or simply stop the conversation and leave. If after signing you do not assign employees to service the contract, the client will terminate the cooperation after some time.
I know everything I need to know. It was going to be a hard task, a long road to learning. It was necessary to solve the case.
I know everything now.
Yes, we have to practice contract negotiating. As it happens, I need a fresh delivery. Let's role-play the scene where you offer me a contract. Ready?
Couldn't be readier. Let's start. I think I'm ready. Let's try a negotiation and point out anything I get wrong. And when I recover from that, you can give me some more tips.
Okay, let's begin negotiating.
Get into role and talk about the reason for your visit.
Okay. I got this. Good morning. I've come about your coffee supplies, namely the classic standard. We can offer competitive terms and, what was next?
No, if you start like that, there's no way you'll succeed. You have to be prepared for negotiating and know what to start the conversation with. Improvising is okay too, but it has to be snappy.
I can do snappy.
Great, show me.
Now, let's try the cafe, because that's where the business is.
Good morning. Is that coffee cake? That smells good enough to stop traffic.
Really? Thanks for saying so. We just finished baking it. Here it is.
Wow, it looks better than it smells. Did you make this, Miss
She doesn't like
Clarabelle
being
Kersey,
called Miss.
I presume? I've come to talk to you about coffee supplies.
Not bad, Arthur. A well-judged compliment can work wonders. But some clients don't like them. Now do you see why doing your research on the customer is so important?
Yes, I knew you liked baking cakes, so I could mention it, but it's only a small thing from your private life.
Precisely. Everything can be useful during negotiations.
And that is indeed the point here, I suppose, is that someone who's not interested in the cake baking would have taken that compliment and might have needed something more personal.
Good morning. I've come to talk about supplying our coffee to you, but if I'm going to talk about coffee with such a lovely lady,
That's
it will
going
have
to
to
be
be
too far.
over a coffee.
Oh dear, Arthur. Complimenting my appearance or flirting with me really isn't a good idea in a business context. I know you meant to be nice, but someone else might take it differently. Very differently.
Good morning. As we agreed, I've prepared a contract to supply classic standard coffee. Would you like to go over the details?
That's not too bad, but clients don't always want to get right down to business. It's worth creating a friendly atmosphere and demonstrating goodwill. You want to try?
Friendly and goodwill. That's me.
Alright, continue.
Can we move on to establishing the terms of the agreement? What does a contract like this look like?
Here's a standard contract. Here, look.
Product price 480 GBP, sales margin 54.8. Classic standard. Alright. Pay attention to how costs and the generated profit change at different price settings. Production cost 69,706 GBP. Profit 83,000. You can freely set the price by moving the slider. If you set the price too high, the customer will reject it. Let's try just going up a little.
Good, that looks acceptable. Be prepared that the client will want to renegotiate the terms here. Assume that they're going to ask for a price lower by this percentage. How are you going to persuade me your offer is already attractive enough?
Let's see, mention the product's quality, emphasize the low unit cost per pack of coffee, silly money tactic. Agree to a lower price if they order more, door in the face tactic. Oh. The customer responds to the counter offer. Current discount mentioned during the is always displayed here. Try to choose phrases and negotiation techniques so the price discount is as low as possible, and therefore the price per unit is as high as possible.
Look at the unit cost, though. It's already ridiculously low. For an initial contract, the terms are really excellent.
Using this technique is a good idea. Avoid using words like ridiculous, though. You'll often have to calculate exactly what you can concede or what else you can do to close the deal and still make money.
And the product's quality.
Let's look at the price in relation to quality. Everything about our coffee's top drawer. Taste, aroma, and certification. Coffee like that at a price like this is a real bargain.
Let's assume I will agree for such discount. Every supplier claims his or her coffee is the best. How are you going to support your claims so they don't come across like empty boasts?
Some facts and figures to prove that this discount is a sensible bargain.
There you go, Arthur. That's how you support your credibility and generate client trust. But it would be better if you actually knew some data.
Very true.
For a first go at negotiating, that went pretty well. Let's say I'll sign the contract, but I have one more proposal. The first month's batch for lower price. Agreed?
Real tactic being applied, I'm not sure what that means, but that's what we're going to try.
Last requests, eh? I like that technique too, but I'm afraid I can't do it. Let's stick to what we established.
That's a risky step. Revealing the client's tactics can work, but you have to be sure that's what they're up to. Otherwise you can upset them and lose the deal. I think that covers everything. Now it's time to put it into practice, both as a business person and a negotiator. Make sure you swat up on the materials and look at this week's tasks.
Thank you. I'm sure it will all prove helpful in this investigation and in finding your father. See you soon, Clarabelle.
Thanks, Arthur. It means a lot to me. Now it's up to you, and I think you're the last hope I've got.
There we are. Nice. And we will sign that contract. When the customer agrees to the arrangement, she signs the contract. You can still review the terms and finally decide if you want to sign the or yes. And we'll sign. New contract has been signed. The amount 7,216 GBP will be regularly transferred to your account within the next 20 weeks. Take care to handle this contract by assigning employees to the appropriate task in the management section. You can view the contract terms in the sales section.
I should sum up what happened after that meeting.
A new part of the story has been discovered. Click on the comic icon at the top. Click on the comic icon, see the fragments of the story, and get clues for the investigation board. Viewing the comic is required to proceed to the next turn. After the last conversation, a new part of the story is revealed. Watch the most recent part of the story to view it.
In the living room, among many works of art, a spot after a taken-down painting drew my attention. It was a peculiar view. Clarabelle told me the painting belonged to her mother. One day, Richard simply packed it up and took it to Joseph. Did he want to sell it? Hide it? I didn't get a chance to ask. Clarabelle answered an urgent call and, apologizing, left in a hurry. I went to gather my thoughts. Catherine's death, Richard's disappearance, the unusual arrangements with the Van Havens, that picture. Clarabelle was right. A detective was needed here. But I have my own reason for this. To get Catherine's killer. All in good time. The last lead is Richard's disappearance, perhaps the best-known coffee supplier in London. I'll start by entering into his world. That means turning into a businessman. My first customer will be Richard's old friend and Clarabelle's ward, Joseph Van Haven. Clarabelle gave me his address and phone number. He's an old, experienced trader. I'd better prepare thoroughly. Need to check the investigation board.
Thanks to your actions, you have managed to gather new clues. More materials appeared on the investigation board. Review the available information and try to link the facts. New contractor Joseph Van Halen available in sales. As you learn new parts of the story, you gain new clues and information on your investigation. And so it was that the world of the Gander Detective Agency entered the world of coffee production and sales too. And that I took on what could be the most personally weighty investigation in my whole career. The death of a friend, the suffering of their daughter. This would either set me back for the rest of my life, or set me up, and I could only hope it would be the latter. But now I shall see thee anon. I have been Detective Yorkie of the Gander Detective Agency. You have been a fine audience. The Chihuahua has been sleeping, and this has been Coffee Noir.